Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
The Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Ladies and gentlemen, the motion picture you're about to see contains scenes so terrifying, the public must be given grave warning.
Hello and good evening. Welcome to the Bloody Binge Movie Podcast. I am your host, Sewer Dweller. And we had a little bit of an issue with the movie today. I woke up a little bit late and got a late start watching the movie. It's a very long movie. There's been a lot of drama across the street from me today to where the police showed up and made somebody leave. So there's been just a lot of going on. And unfortunately, I've not been able to finish the movie and would not be able to finish the movie in a timely manner enough to be able to put a show on for you guys. So this week, we're going to go ahead and just do some news. We're going to do some horror movie news. There really is no haunt industry news. It is the end of the year. Even the horror movie news is kind of sporadic right now. So we're going to go ahead and include some paranormal news in it as well. I am also using a brand new microphone. So I will say ahead of time, I do apologize. I think it's going to pick a lot more stuff up than my headphones do, including the traffic right outside of my house. I live off of a main road. So just bear with me until I just want to make sure. I want to check it out this week, make sure the microphone works, how it's going to do, and hopefully be able to get a filter so you guys don't hear everything going on outside of my house. But yes, we are going to do some news this week. Like I said, unfortunately, the movie is taking a lot of time to watch it. It's just not going to be done. I'm not going to be able to finish it in enough time to put on a decent show for you guys. As I just said. So with that being said, we're going to dive into some news here. We got some paranormal news, some horror movie news, maybe even a couple of stupid news stories. What we normally do with Shivers. I will say we are going to bring Shivers back next week, I think. We haven't done an episode of Shivers since at least October, I believe. Maybe even September. So we're overdue for one. We're going to go ahead and do an episode of Shivers next week. So next week, be sure to tune into the Bloody Binge for Shivers. And we are going to do the Cryptids of Kentucky. With that being said, hopefully everybody can hear me. Hopefully this microphone is working very well. Let's go ahead and dive. We'll do the horror movie news first. How about that? Let me get on here and get down to where I need to be. I hope everybody's had a great New Year, a great Christmas, a great holidays, all that good stuff. It's been pretty good over here, over this way. As you can see, I did get a microphone for Christmas, so we'll see. Again, we'll see how well this works. Let's see. Start down here with. So, for those who don't know, I don't know if anybody, how many people have played the Friday the 13th game. Um, the Friday the 13th video game. It was an online game. You could only play online. You could play offline, but you would be playing bots. And where they'd put, I can't remember how many people. It's been a while since I played the game, but about 9 people in a lobby. 8 people would be counselors, or 6 people would be counselors. It was 7, because I think 6 people were counselors, and then 1 person would be Jason. And you'd have, as the person as Jason, would have to hunt down and kill the 6 counselors. The 6 counselors would have to do their best not to attract Jason. They would have to either fix a car. They'd have basically you'd spend your time going through cabins, locking doors, all that good stuff, trying to avoid Jason, trying to find weapons, bandages, sprays, stuff like that, and try to find pieces to fix one of the 2 cars. There'd be a 4-door and a 2-door. There'd be a boat you'd have to fix. You have to find like a spark plug and some gas for the boat. For the car, you'd have to find a battery, some gas, and the keys. Or you could just try to find a fuse, find the cabin that has the telephone, and you could call the police. And if the police show up, you could just escape that way as well. It was very fun at first, but a lot of the game got basically plagued with glitches and basically to the point where Jason was really he was overpowered, and Jason would and basic people would be able to get to where Jason couldn't get them because of online glitches and that. So happy Friday, pile. Hope you're having a great week. But yeah, you'd get there. Like I said, it just got to the point where it's like every video game out there anymore. The cheaters kind of ruined it. And then during the lawsuit between Cunningham, Sean Cunningham and Victor Miller, I think the guy's name was, over the rights to Jason, it kind of got pushed to the back burner because they couldn't develop new skins, they couldn't develop new Jasons or maps or anything like that. So it kind of just got pushed to the back burner. And then Gun Media itself, after the trial, basically after the court case was resolved, I think both sides were okay with them continuing to make the game, but they never would, like, Gun Media was done with it essentially, and just said no, we're not going to do it. It's not worth it at this point. And then eventually, like I said, just stopped putting content into the game because they were supposed to be like a Jason X map in space. They were supposed to put Uber Jason in there. Like, there was so much they were supposed to do that they didn't. They could have added more more campers or more counselors in. Well, I'm very sorry to hear that, Pile. I hope you feel better. Like I said, it just got pushed to the back burner. Well, officially on January 1st at midnight, the servers officially shut down for the game. And a lot of people are upset. Like, you can't get online anymore and play. You can't get online and play anymore on the servers or anything like that. You can. I don't even know if you can still. I haven't tried it yet because I have the Jason game. I used to love it, but you can't get online. I know you can't get online and play other people anymore. The servers have been shut. Where did my microphone go? Testing. Can you guys still hear me? There it goes. If I keep having issues, or if you guys, if the outside noise is bothering you guys, just let me know, and then I'll switch to the regular headphones. But yeah, the servers shut down. I'm a little upset about it. Not as upset as a lot of other people who still played the game, or I haven't really played the game regularly in a couple of years, but a lot of people are. It was a fun game at first. It's just like Call of Duty is starting to be. The cheaters just ruin everything. Like Call of Duty itself is actually having a problem right now online with a lot of cheaters in their ranked lobbies. So, and that's what happened with this game. Like I said, it just came down to a lot of people taking advantage of glitches, hiding where Jason can't get to you, and just waiting the game out. And that's just fucking boring. But yes, unfortunately, if you are a Friday the 13th fan and you played the game, it is officially dead. 2017 to 2024. As of December 31st, 2024, the servers for the popular online video game shut down, with Gun Media announcing that they had lost the Friday the 13th license in summer of 2023. They did the cool thing and basically maxed out all of the active players with tons of perks to allow everyone to go out with a bang. Even so, the game is essentially no longer playable. Even the offline modes have reportedly been rendered unplayable, with that arguably the last truly significant piece of media released in the long-standing horror franchise is dead. They're saying that because we haven't had a new Jason movie in like 16 years. So yeah, rest in peace, Friday the 13th, the video game. You were fun. You were fun while it lasted. But we'll stay on the Jason news because promising news from the Crystal Lake showrunner. This is from iHorror, so this might have a few like opinions in it, and I'll try to skip over it. But what is it with classic horror franchises and red tape lately? The Craven estate won't allow Nightmare on Elm Street to be made. Another Nightmare on Elm Street film to be made. I'm not against that. I don't think we need any more Nightmare on Elm Streets. I think it'd be fun to keep watching, but who's gonna play it like Robert Englund? Who's gonna do that? Scream was inundated with cast and director problems. That it was. And Friday the 13th was in a holding pattern, first from a legal rights battle, and when that was over, production issues over the upcoming Peacock TV series based on the franchise called Crystal Lake. But there is some good news, as ambiguous as it is. Crystal Lake showrunner Brad Caleb Kane updated his Instagram on November 13th, a Friday, reassuring fans that the show is indeed underway. And I do not believe we had a November 13th. I don't believe we had Friday the 13th on November this year. So I think whoever wrote this is wrong. I wish I could give more substantial update, but mum's the word, he writes. Suffice it to say that the story's been broken, scripts have been and are being written, and the goal is to give fans, including myself, a tense, scary, bloody, and satisfying ride that's well worth the wait. More news to come in the new year, unless y'all, we're all doomed. Kane is also financially behind another upcoming franchise favorite turned TV series, It, Welcome to Derry. Make sure it's still working. Yep, it is still working. Great, it's great. A show based around Stephen King's fictional town and the supernatural events that happen there, including the antics of one Pennywise the Clown. Before Kane took over, Brian Fuller was the guy heading production on Crystal Lake. He even secured legacy final girl Adrienne King to appear in the show, but he left production this past April and has gone on to write another Star Trek TV series and a movie starring Mads Mikkelsen and Sigourney Weaver called Dust Bunny. There haven't been any updates onto what's going on as far as on-set production. Last we heard, A24 wanted to film this show in Australia by the end of this year for a Halloween 2025 release. It doesn't appear that happened, as Kane's post says scripts are still being written. We will keep you updated as we learn more about this highly anticipated series. I just want more Jason stuff, guys. What? That's it. I want more Jason stuff. Jason Voorhees is one of my favorite slashers. He's what I grew up watching. He's one of the first slashers that I watched, him and Freddy. So, yeah, I want more Jason. I would love to see more Jason. So, yeah, let's get that. Let's get on. Let's get started. Let's see. Skip that one. All right, Walmart offers a Valentine's Day Chucky and Tiffany bouquet. Barely recovering from the anxiety of pending credit card bills accrued during December, Walmart is fracking your wallet for more cash as it starts to put out its Valentine's Day merch. Let me see if I can even share. Yes, I can. Guys, take a look at this. Where's the over? There it is. Let you take a look at this while I read the story, but look at this thing. There you go. But amid the kitschy cards and boxes of tempered chocolates, they are offering something for those who hate the tackiness of it all, but love the sentiment. It's the Chucky and Tiffany plush bouquet 5-piece set by Ruse. It will set you back about $17.98, which that's not bad. That is not bad. I was expecting a lot worse than that. But what does money matter when it's for someone you love? The set includes our lovable anti-heroes with backpack clips, along with 3 plush black roses wrapped in felt. Ironically, Tiffany's last name is Valentine, so if you're going solo this year, you can celebrate her instead. It still fits. iHorror isn't affiliated with Walmart, so we aren't sure about the quality of the merchandise, but we are on board. Yeah, they're on board with it. Sadly, we learned this year that creator Don Mancini's beloved horror character Chucky was canceled from his self-titled show on USA and Sci-Fi. And it was just getting good, especially if you take into consideration its meta-political message that's about to become reality for the next... Okay, I don't do... I'm not going to do political stuff. I'm not going to keep reading that article because it's a lot of political stuff. But look at this thing, man. It looks awesome. That looks great. There's the flowers in front. Then you got the Chucky and you got the Tiffany backpack clip, which I have backpack clips, but I don't use them. I don't really carry a backpack anymore. But I do still collect them because they're awesome. Look at them. I mean, that, like I said, look at that. Look. That looks great. So hopefully the wife isn't listening, but I think I know what she's getting for Valentine's Day this year. So moving, that looks awesome. Moving on. 3 new Fear Street movies are coming, says R.L. Stine. I honestly haven't watched the first 3 yet. I'm bad. You know it. No, I'm not going to do that. Shadyside is set to get whole lot bloodier with 3 new Fear Street movies currently in the works, according to series creator and horror fiction legend R.L. Stine. The 3 new entries into the series will follow the Lee Janiak's original Fear Street trilogy, Part 1, 1994, Part 2, 1978, and Part 3, 1666. Which also released onto Netflix over 3 consecutive weeks back in 2021, and the upcoming Fear Street 1988 Prom Queen from director Matt Palmer. At the time of writing, it's unknown whether these Fear Street films will be part of a new trilogy or separate standalone stories. Speaking with The Hollywood Reporter, Stine confirmed that the writers are working, referring to the 3 movies, so I've got my fingers crossed. THR reminds us that Fear Street series of young adult horror novels, first released in 1989, has sold over 80 million copies by 2010 and has more than 100 spin-off entries, which Stine began releasing in 2014. With over 50 books in the series, there's plenty of material to adapt to keep the Fear Street cinematic series going for a good long time. So, yeah, if you like the Fear Street movies, he's bringing them back. He's bringing them back, and I don't know. That's me moving in my chair. I apologize, but he's bringing them back, and there's going to be 3 new ones. It's going to be fun. Give me 1 second, because I want to take this sweatshirt. It's getting a little warm in here. There we go. Sorry, guys, it was getting a little warm in here. And since there's nobody joining me this week, I don't really need my headphones. Put them back on though, just to be on the safe side. Again, if you're hearing anything, I can't hear myself talk. I can't hear what I'm doing here. So if I'm doing something, if you can't really hear me or something, please let me know. This is, like I said, this is a new microphone. I'm still trying to get used to it. And I got to get a filter so you don't hear everything going on. Like I said, I'm right by the window to the outside, right by the main street. So hopefully you don't hear all the cars going by. If I hear an ambulance or something, I'll try to mute it. And my voice is a little weird today, too. It's been snowing here. It's been warm the past few days, and now it's snowing today, so it's like really cold out. So the temperature changing is not helping my voice at all. So we just read that one. Moving on. I don't usually cover comic books on here because I'm not the biggest comic nerd. I'm not the biggest comic book fan, you know. So like I said, I really don't cover them on here, but there's a story out here, 20 new horror comics that should be on your radar this year. This is from Fangoria. So let's just take a look at some of these. The first one that released on January 1st, When I Lay My Vengeance Upon Thee. If you're a fan of exorcism stories, you'll want to check out this new Boom Studios published series from horror novelist Gus Moreno and artist Jacob Rebelka. It begins with the exile of a disgraced priest to a South American town where he's forced to apprentice a mysterious and controversial clergyman whose exorcism methods might predate the church. The duo's first assignment sends them to a remote island being ravaged by multiple demonic possessions. It sounds interesting, actually. I read comic books. I'm not. They're getting a little pricey, in all honesty, for what they are. They're getting a little pricey. January 8th. Those Not Afraid. This actually I like the cover art on this. In titles like I Hate This Place and Where Monsters Lie, writer Kyle Stark shows off his ability to seamlessly blend horror and humor. And in this mini-series from Dark Horse Comics, he teams with artist Patrick, I'm going to butcher this name, Piazzalunga, for a story that promises more of his signature bold and belly laughs. That's because it chronicles the exploits of 2 rival serial killers competing to see who can achieve the state record for the biggest body count. You know, that actually does sound interesting. So I might have to look for that one. That one is, again, it is Those Not Afraid. The next one coming out on the 15th of January, Behemoth. When a giant kaiju-style monster menaces a city, there is a good chance that many people and things are going to be devoured. But what happens to them after, especially the people who are still alive? This new 4-issue Dark Horse comic miniseries from film director Grant Sputore, again, I'm probably butchering that guy's name, I apologize, and writer Ryan Engel, who wrote 2018's Rampage and 2022's Beast, which features art by Jay Martin from Lost Boy, seeks to answer those questions. It follows a group of passengers on a bus devoured by a monster who quickly discovers that they're not alone in the belly of the beast. So apparently the whole thing takes place in the belly of the monster, which wouldn't the stomach acids, like, I'm not going to ruin this guy's story. Also coming out on the 15th, The Seasons, which again I kind of like this cover art. Fangoria readers got a first look at Paul Azaceta's stunning artwork for The Seasons. This comic, penned by Rick Remender and published by Image Comics, combines the whimsical wonders of a Hayao Miyazaki film. Again, I'm very bad with names. With the surreal horror of David Lynch. It follows four sisters struggling against the sinister supernatural carnival that fractured their family and threatens their home. Moving on, we got on the 22nd of January, we have Kill Train. There's a lot of blood on this one. This looks very very violent, very brutal, and it looks like it's going to be cool. Excuse me. Fans of the Purge series and other deathmatch style horrors like Battle Royale or Battle Royale will want to check out writer Olivia Quartero Briggs, I guess you're a Mary Shelley Monster Hunter, and artist Martina Niasi's 5-issue miniseries Kill Train from Mad Cave Studios. It is set in a dystopian near future world where New York City has implemented a brutal and bloody method to control a population explosion. The Kill Train. An extermination program where a random subway train is chosen and all of its passengers are slaughtered by the end of the line. It follows a struggling single mother who suddenly discovers her commute has become a kill train. That's very interesting, actually. Why are comic books, they have better stories than movies anymore? We have Blood Train, the next one, releasing on January 29th. This one shot from Image Comics by writer Adam Glass and artist Bernard Chang, the creative team behind DC Comics' 2016 Teen Titans series, is being described as 28 Days Later Meets the Ruins. It follows a group of friends who climb aboard a train after backpacking through Asia. Unbeknownst to them, one of their number has been infected with a bioweapon that will transform them into a murderous monster. Making matters worse is that if the train reaches Europe, it will kickstart World War III. I mean, I don't think they're going to need a train for that, but... moving on to February 5th, The Ghost Whiskerers. This has like a very Disney-style character on it with a cat. We need comics and horror stories for all ages. The horror master John Carpenter and his wife Sandy King understand that. That's why their company, Storm King Comics, has an imprint called Storm Kids. The next release from that line will be for kids and adults who enjoy films like Paranormal. It's called The Ghost Whiskerers, written and drawn by Thomas F. Zoller, who apparently wrote for My Little Pony. It's the story of a young boy who moves into a new town and a haunted house. He also discovers that his beloved cats have the job of shepherding spirits into the afterlife, and they need his help. So, yeah, those are the ones coming out in January and February. We went through a bunch of those. If you want to read the rest, it is on Fangoria. Again, I'm just not that interested in comics. So I don't know how to make that more interesting, honestly. The Miskatonic Institute of Horror Studies returns for its 15th year in 2025 with a brand new spring semester of both online and in-person classes covering everything from the folklore of Scooby-Doo to the symbolism of vomiting women in the horror genre. Funded by legendary film writer and programmer Keir Lajanis in 2010, the Miskatonic Institute of Horror Studies is a largely volunteer-run endeavor through which established horror writers, directors, scholars, and programmers, curators, celebrate horror history and culture with a unique blend of enthusiasm and critical perspective. Online classes start January 7th, with semester passes available here until January 6th. Let's take a look at this website real quick. See what the prices are. Don't want no cookies. $40. There's no tickets available online, but actually not even $40. 40 Great Britain, 40 pounds. There are no tickets left online. That is that I want to say the like maybe the whole semester. But the online schedule reads as follows. The 7th of January, Why Horror is Good for You. The latest news from the science of recreational fear with Matthias Klassen. Or Klassen. Again, I'm butchering names. The 4th of February, you have Consuming Ghost Stories. The Spectre of Snuff Films is Haunting Canadian Obscenity with Meg Lonergan. On the 18th of March, you have Make Me Over, Practical Effects as Bodily Writing with Sarah Woodstock. On the 15th of April, Wells, Wombs, and Tombs, Trauma and Gendered Imaginaries in South Asian Horror. 6th of May, you have Mourning and Horror, Grief in the 21st Century Genre Films. Again, I'm not going to read these names because I'm going to butcher these names. I don't even think I could kind of get a couple of these names right. Let's see. In-person classes kick off on February 25th at London's Horse Hospital, with the schedule bringing the following academic treats. Do You Want to Tell Me Something? Vomiting Women in Horror Cinema, with Sarah Cleaver of Zodiac Film Club. On the 11th of March, I Still Get the Thrill of How Real I Thought It Was, exploring horror and reality through childhood memories of Ghostwatch, with Dr. Kate Egan, assistant professor in film and media at Northumbria University. On the 8th of April, God Has Left Me, Faith, Apostasy, and Lucio Fulci, with Matt Rogers, author of the Vatican vs. Horror movies. May 13th, Zoinks, the spooky folklore behind Scooby-Doo, with Mark Norman of the Folklore Podcast. On the 10th of June, If Looks Could Kill, the spectacle of murder in contemporary crime media. And those seem to be all the classes. So if you're interested, I don't think we can sign up anymore. But if you're interested, take a look at that, Miskatonic Institute. Let's see if we can find any more stories that don't involve trailers or lists. We're going to have a couple of lists in the next segment. The next segment will be our paranormal segment. I got a lot more stories over there. Let me check one more website, and then we might just have to move on. It's that time of year, like I said. That's why with the haunt industry, it's really hard to find stories this time of year. A lot of the authors are really only doing, like with horror movies, a lot of the authors are really only doing, what do you call it? Top 24 lists, top 20 lists, of the best of stuff that happened last year. We did our end of year show last week with my list of what I thought the worst movies that I've covered on here and all that good stuff. Me and Jen did it me and Friday did it last week. So if you guys are interested in what the worst movie on here is, I think you guys already know. Needless to say, Amityville Thanksgiving took it home. That movie was so bad. Like the one I was watching today isn't anywhere near. It was bad, but it's not anywhere near as bad. But Shriek Show also, it's a lot longer than I thought it would be. And then, like I said, there's just no way I could finish it. But Bloody Disgusting. again, it's really all. There's just a lot of trailers in that. And I can't show trailers on here, unfortunately. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to our paranormal. We'll get our paranormal news started here in about 25 minutes. 25 minutes. We'll take our break. We'll get the paranormal news started though. So excuse me. Our first story comes from Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie, and this is a weird one. So a curious piece of footage captured by an airline passenger shows what appears to be two people standing atop a layer of clouds. The mystifying video was reportedly posted online earlier this week and quickly spread like wildfire. Alas, the source of the strange scene is uncertain, with some claiming that it was filmed by an individual flying on a commercial plane over the UK, though that has not been confirmed. Despite the dubious provenance of the video, the footage has spawned an array of theories as to what the weird anomalies atop the clouds could have been. As one might imagine, there have been suggestions that the two perceived figures could be angels, aliens, or some kind of supernatural beings. More skeptical observers posited that either the video was a clever digital manipulation or that the people were merely a product of pareidolia brought on about by exhaust stacks releasing steam that was actually piercing a layer of fog rather than the clouds, which that does kind of seem a little more likely. But for those who don't know, pareidolia is when you want to see. It's the best way to put it is pareidolia is when you want to see something so bad, something paranormal so bad, that you try to see. You see it everywhere. I think I just hit my mic. I'm sorry. My biggest, to me, the biggest cases of pareidolia are folks who try to say that orbs in photos are anything other than or videos are anything other than insects flying around or light reflecting or off of something or things like that, or dust and things like that. In my experience, most orbs are nothing. A lot of people will take pictures in Colonial Williamsburg, for example, and claim that, hey, look, there's ghosts in my picture. There's paranormal in my picture. Well, no, because in all honesty, the roads in Colonial Williamsburg in the historical area of Colonial Williamsburg are not paved. They're dirt roads. There's horses going up and down all day long. There's people walking all up and down all day long. There's a breeze, it's just a lot of dust being kicked up. But yeah, let me see if I can. I know I can't. Give me one second. I'm trying to, because I can't download. I'm not allowed to download it and show it, but I might be able to take the chance and share my screen. Let me get back to this. Yeah, so here we go. Let's watch this together, guys. What do you think? Anybody? So again, there's shadows. That's the weird thing, is there's shadows in the clouds. I wish I could get the picture up. I can't download the picture because it's not. I can download the picture, but I can't share it on here because it's it's a weird kind of file. But like there's cloud, like there's shadows, which it makes it a little weird. It really just looks like two people standing almost on the beach or in the snow, looking down at something is what it looks like. Almost like down like a dead animal. That's to me what it looks like. But I'm gonna keep following that story because that is a little weird. It is a little strange. So let me know what you guys think in the comments or anywhere. Is it angels? Is it aliens? Is it paranormal at all? Or do you believe the what apparently a lot of people are saying is that it's pareidolia, which it very well could be pareidolia, and that it's that's fog and not clouds, and that what it is the is smoke from the steam stacks coming up, going through the fog, piercing through the fog and out. My only thing to that is, again, I don't know if you would necessarily see shadows if that was the case. So that's the only thing that really gets me is the shadows. But I mean, let's get to our next story. Excuse me. Chinese man trapped in well for 3 days as villagers mistake his cries for ghost sounds. Sorry about that. In a bizarre incident near the Thailand-Myanmar border, a Chinese man was trapped in an abandoned well for 3 days. It was in an abandoned well for 3 days. Villagers had heard strange cries coming from a nearby forest, but mistook them for ghostly sounds, according to Thai media reports. It wasn't until the police were dispatched, that the police dispatched rescue personnel to the forest, that they heard a voice responding to their calls. The crew located the source of the voice and found 22-year-old Liu Xuanyi at the bottom of a 12-meter deep well. Now, being as I'm an American, let's see what 12 meters in feet is. He was down 39 feet. Jesus. That's a 39-foot well. The Independent reported the rescue operation lasted 30 minutes. Mr. Xuanyi was found in a weakened state and had sustained serious injuries, including a fractured wrist, cerebral concussion, and bruises. After being trapped without food or water for 3 days and nights, he was rescued and taken to the hospital for medical attention. According to Mr. Xuanyi, I'm probably saying that name wrong. I'm not going to lie. I'm probably saying it wrong. He strategically shouted for help once every hour, conserving his energy during his 3-day ordeal. Meanwhile, nearby villagers reported hearing strange cries, which they attributed to paranormal activity. As a result, they avoided venturing outside after dark and didn't investigate the noise further. Authorities believe that Mr. Liu accidentally fell into the well while attempting to navigate his way out of the forest. The circumstances surrounding Mr. Liu's presence at the Thailand-Myanmar border remains a mystery, and authorities have reached out to the immigration department to investigate how he ended up in that area. In the meantime, local authorities are taking proactive measures to prevent similar incidents by sealing the well with a cover, ensuring the area is safe for everyone. The incident has sparked widespread attention on Chinese social media, with many users sharing and discussing the harrowing story. I think the bigger story there is there's Chinese media? social media. I can't believe they let them. They let them have it. One user wrote, "A Chinese man shouting for help in the middle of nowhere. Of course the locals can't understand the language and might think it was a wizard uttering spells." That's pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie, that is pretty funny. Another commented, "Kudos to his strength and stamina. Struggling for 3 days and nights, but still yelling. This guy is impressive." Yeah, he was. Like, that was that is pretty impressive. I'm not gonna lie. I'll give him that. Excuse me. Had to take a sip of drink there. But yeah, so the guy basically 3 days. He spent 3 days in a well, no food, no water, just him. Just him by himself in there, and that's just an amazing story. In all honesty, so good for him that he got out of there. So moving on. Let's see, this is pretty. Yeah, I read most of this one earlier, and it's a little. I don't know if this is necessarily paranormal, but it's about mythology, Norse mythology. To be frank, I'm a big fan of mythology. I love the mythology and myths and things like that. I actually used to listen to a podcast. I don't know if they still make it or not. On Spotify, I can't. They're called Paracon or Parcon or something like. I can't remember what they were called. So now I got to look it up. But it was about mythology. Parcast. I think it was Parcast. Let's see. That's Spotify. Yeah. Parcast. Yeah, it's a great. Parcast is a network. They actually do a lot of good stuff. The only thing you got to do is you got to get around. They're very monotone, like while they're reading and stuff like that. So you got to get around that. But other than that, a study suggests that historic climate disaster gave birth to Ragnarok, the Norse mythology apocalypse. This is from the Jerusalem Post. This is an Israeli newspaper from the looks of it. Came out on the 1st of January. In the year 536 CE, a series of volcanic eruptions in the northern hemisphere unleashed ash and sulfur gases into the atmosphere, enshrouding the globe in a veil that blocked sunlight. A recent study from the National Museum of Denmark suggests that the Norse myth of Ragnarok may have been inspired by a climate event that occurred approximately 1,500 years ago. Published in the Journal of Archaeological Science Reports, the research indicates that a severe climate disaster may have prompted the creation of one of Norse mythology's legends. They're repeating themselves. On this. In the year 536 CE, a series of volcanic eruptions in the northern hemisphere unleashed ash and sulfur gases into the atmosphere, enshrouding the globe in a veil that blocked sunlight. This phenomenon led to global cooling, devastating agriculture and populations around the world. This period is often recognized as one of the worst in human history due to the prolonged volcanic winter that ensued. To understand the impact of the climatic event on the Nordic regions, researchers analyzed that the annual rings in over 100 pieces of 6th century Danish oak. Their findings demonstrated a severe impact on Denmark, especially during the summers between 539 and 541 CE, when the trees showed virtually no growth. This lack of growth is indicative of dramatically cooler climates that adversely affected growing conditions. Morten Fischer Mortensen, the lead researcher at the National Museum of Denmark, noted the importance of these findings. Many have speculated, but for the first time, we can demonstrate that perhaps the greater climatic disaster in the history, or the greatest climatic disaster in the history of humanity, affected Denmark catastrophically, he said, according to La Vanguardia. The study suggests that the climate catastrophe, that I'm having problems reading, may be linked to the Norse myth of Fimbulwinter, a premonitory event of Ragnarok. Fimbulwinter is described as a winter lasting 3 years without the arrival of a summer season. During this time, snow is said to blow from all directions, temperatures plummet, and famine and suffering spread across the land. Although it is not known for certain whether the description of Fimbulwinter has its roots in the 6th century climatic disaster, the coincidence is striking. Ragnarok, central to Norse mythology, is the apocalyptic tale where the gods meet their doom and the world as it is known comes to an end. This myth tells the story of creation, destruction, and eventual rebirth. La Vanguardia explains that many religions and cultures have concepts of eventual planet-wide cosmos-wide destruction, and the Norse belief in Ragnarok is a profound example of this narrative. The researchers also discovered that during this period of climatic turmoil, there was an increase in valuable items and buried treasure deposits throughout Denmark. This suggests that local residents were engaging in proprietary rituals, possibly sacrificing their most prized possessions in hopes of appeasing the gods and bringing back the sun. This interpretation aligns with the archaeological findings of several large gold treasures, such as the gold horns, and I don't know what the fuck that was. Such as the gold horns, the Vendelev treasure, and the Broholm treasure, which were buried during the climate catastrophe period. Further supporting the connection between the climate event, and societal changes, the study points out alterations in land use during this time. There was evidence of abandonment of cultivated land and reforestation, indicating shifts in how communities adapted to the harsh conditions. Science Notazi, I definitely butchered that one, mentions that these changes correspond with the immense amounts of gold artifacts from the era, suggesting a direct link between environmental stress and cultural practices. The devastation of the volcanic winter was not limited to the Nordic regions. People worldwide faced dire consequences. China experienced summer snowfall. The average temperature in Europe dropped by 2.5 degrees Celsius, and accounts of apocalyptic conditions were reported across the Eastern Roman Empire and China. As Science Notazi details, the widespread suffering and dramatic climate anomalies would have left an indelible mark on the collective consciousness of the time. So basically, they think, and that ties into the way people lived back then. At one point, people thought the sun was like a fire demon. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise. That's where mythology comes from. Them is people trying to explain why things happen. Why do like in Greek mythology, why does the sun fly across the sky and go start in one end of the sky? Why does the sun start in the east end and set in the west end, and then we don't see it for another 12 hours? So they come up with the idea that it's there's a god pulling it with his chariot. I want to say, was it Ares? I think pulling it with his chariot across the sky, and goes away at night to sleep. Then in the morning he does it again, and that's all he does is he rides his chariot across the sky every day. And there's a lot of myths out there like that, especially if you actually read the actual myths and not not necessarily watered down, but the nicer versions. Like a lot of people, like with Hercules, A lot of people, if you read when you read the actual story of Hercules, it's very dark. He kills his two kids because of a spell that Hera puts on him. And he kills his two kids, and that's why he has to go out and make amends. That's why he has all those trials. Is because he has to make amends to the gods for unknowingly murdering, basically ripping his kids in half. But guys, we've been going for about 55 minutes. Let's go ahead and take our break now. When we come back, we got some more paranormal news, including the top 10 modern mystery stories of 2024 and the top 10 cryptozoology stories of 2024. So we're gonna do. It's almost like a preemptive episode of Shivers coming up. So make sure you come back, tune in. We'll see you here in a couple of minutes, and we'll talk more paranormal news and things like that. Maybe even do a Q&A if we have enough viewers on here. You get a question for me, feel free to ask. I'm an open book. There's very, very few questions I won't answer. So guys, we'll be right back with some more paranormal news here on the Bloody Binge Movie Podcast. Stick around.
Greetings and shabibans. We are the Retro Reductopus Cephala Podcast, a long-form bi-weekly show that celebrates all the things that made growing up awesome.
Yeah, that sounds good, but I don't know what all those words mean.
I think what Parasite seems trying to say is that on Retro Redoctopus, we explore a range of retro goodness, from toys, video games, and movies, to cartoons, and even snacks and school lunches.
Oh.
And we do it all with a positive spin, a slew of killer guests, and some very adult language.
And you know what else is cool?
No.
This crazy show is part of the Door King Podcast Network with new episodes every Tentacle Tuesday.
What's that?
And if waiting 2 weeks for a new episode gives you a sad, know that we drop bonus episodes all the time, like the off-format Crow's Nest and an interview series we call The Brig.
You can listen to Retro Redoctopus on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or any app that's cool enough to carry the only show that celebrates all the things that make growing up awesome.
And we're back. Welcome back to the Bloody Binge Movie Podcast. I am your host, Sewer Dweller. And as I said earlier, we are doing some news today. The movie, I couldn't get the movie done in time to put on a good show for you guys. So we're going to go ahead and we're doing some paranormal news right now. We did some horror movie news at the beginning. We're doing some paranormal news now. And maybe even some silly news, stupid news, whatever you want to call it. But thanks for joining me on this wonderful Friday evening as you guys cook dinner or whatever you're doing this Friday evening, driving home. I appreciate you guys coming in. So we are going to move on to our next story. This story, where did it tell me when it came out? This is a story that came out in March last year in March, on March 4th of 2024. But I thought it was a silly story, so we're still going to read it. So the mayor of a small Canadian town is currently under fire after he enlisted a slingshot-wielding resident to murder a troublesome turkey that had been tormenting the community. Their words, not mine. The strange case reportedly began a few weeks ago when a raptor of the wild birds appeared in the town of Louisville, Quebec. The veritable invasion quickly proved to be problematic as the territorial turkeys targeted several residents who found themselves unfortunate enough to cross their paths. When local wildlife officials were unable to put a stop to the strange siege, Louisville Mayor Yvon Deschamps called upon the community to go to war with the turkeys, specifically one particular feathered invader that had emerged as the most aggressive of the flock. Now, guys, I'm originally from the South. I'm from Virginia, from Virginia Beach, right around the North Carolina area. This isn't a problem in the South because if this was a problem in the South, we would be having turkey for dinner. That's that simple. The birds have claws like razor blades, and they're large. When they spread their wings, they're 5 to 6 feet wide, the mayor observed, declaring that I will not wait until a child is disfigured before taking action against the turkeys. Although Deschamps first shockingly suggested that residents could solve the problem with baseball bats, he ultimately went biblical on the birds by way of a community member adept at using a slingshot, like in the times of David and Goliath. Last week, the mayor indicated that the handpicked vigilante felled the turkey with 2 metal stones to the head during the odd episode that was overseen by local police officers. As a reward for his murderous work, the resident was allowed to keep the turkey for future consumption while the creature's claws were gifted to the mayor. That's pretty... That is... I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. For those who don't know, when Blackbeard the pirate was slain, it was off the coast of North Carolina, but it wasn't, or South Carolina rather, but it wasn't the South Carolinian governor that had him murdered or had him arrested, had him and his crew arrested or murdered or whatever you want to say. It was the governor of Virginia. So when they killed Blackbeard, they cut his head off and kicked him overboard and brought the head back. This person just had the same thing to a turkey. Where, I mean, it's fine. The guy who kills the turkey gets to keep the turkey for, to eat later on. Great, turkey's delicious. However, but the claws were gifted to the mayor. So the governor of Virginia gets Blackbeard's head, and this governor or this mayor of a city in Canada, 400 years later, almost 600 years. About 400 or 500 years later, is doing the same thing with a turkey. However, not everyone in the community is happy with Deschamps' actions, as some people have called for his resignation over the matter, while others have bombarded him with angry messages wherein they said, "I'm worse than Putin. Despite being compared to the Russian depot, the mayor expressed no remorse for the murder of the bird and indicated that he would fight any fine that may come about as a result of the wild creature being killed. For me, it's always the security of our citizens that comes first, he mused. I acted as a good captain and I didn't abandon the ship. So, again, I'm okay with them putting the birds down. They're obviously very aggressive. They're obviously, going to attack people. They're going to attack they're eventually going to attack a child. But why did you have to get the claws? Like, that's what gets me. Why did you need the claws? But, so yeah, I guess this guy, the mayor, let's see if he's even... Oh, I already closed on the story. But, yeah, that's just weird. All right, we'll still read a couple more stories from last year. These are basically, I'm reading off of a list on Coast to Coast AM. The 24 of the weirdest stories from 2024. I don't do this very often, so these are still new to me. Hello. These are still new to me, so that's why I'm going to read it. And they're probably new to a lot of you. I don't know how many people on here actually go to Coast AM a lot, but this one, I've never read this. I think I heard this story last year, but I didn't do any investigating to it. Funeral chain slammed for sending Valentine's Day cards to a nursing home. A chain of funeral homes in England is under fire for what some contend was a rather macabre marketing scheme in the form of Valentine's Day cards that the company sent to a nursing home. The misguided, at best, gesture reportedly came to light on Wednesday when the White Gates Care Center in the community of Laleham, if you're from England, let me know. If you're from the UK, let me know. I know I'm pretty sure I'm... Laleham, maybe. I know I'm butchering that, so just let me know if I'm saying how bad I'm saying it wrong. I'm pretty sure I'll get an email. Received the lavish-looking holiday missives in the mail. However, many of the residents were understandably put off when they opened the cards and read that they were sent with love from the local branch of the funeral chain T.H. Sanders & Sons. As one might imagine, relatives of the nursing home residents were aghast to hear of the incident, with one man declaring that it's appalling for a funeral director to be trying to attract new customers by targeting vulnerable elderly people, indicating that he now plans to take his mother out of the nursing home. The man mused that luckily we managed to hide it away before Mum could see it, as it would have been devastating. His outrage was echoed by the Charitable Foundation Center for Aging Better, which called the cards an utterly appalling stunt. Meanwhile, the nursing home tried to assure residents and their relatives that the cards were simply a case of an area business trying to brighten their loved one's holiday. We're deeply embedded within the local community, they said, and we value the support and engagement of all of our neighbors, including T.H. Sanders. For their part, the funeral home chain seemingly recognized how the cards could easily be misconstrued and issued a statement saying that they deeply regret any unintended distress. That's not an apology. Just apologize. Just apologize. That's simple. Just apologize. If I could find one, I would put it up here. But they needless to say, there are no pictures of it or anything in the story. That's just... And the way that the nursing home responded kind of seems to me that they were in on it. That they were just like, yeah, we could do like a cross promotion, all that good stuff, or that the funeral home came up and basically said, hey, here's a couple $1,000, here's a couple $100, here's $1,000. Can we mail these to your residents and you not get pissed off at us? So yeah, that's a thing. That was a thing. see. Moving on. Okay, I'm going to read this one because this is something I would totally do. I've actually threatened my kid. We'll talk about this here in a second. Dad scolded by school for terrifying students by dressing up as Pennywise to pick up his kid. This is from November 11th of 2024. So take a wild guess when he probably did this. Actually, nope, never mind. The father of a student at a Scottish elementary school will likely be getting the side-eye at the next parent-teacher night after he donned a Pennywise costume to pick up his child and terrified several tots in the process. According to a local media report, the misguided prank occurred last Thursday afternoon at the Lawrencekirk Primary School in the community of Lawrencekirk. Shortly before students were dismissed for the day, the mischievous dad arrived at the school in the creepy clown costume. He walked into the playground, and I did think it was odd, as it wasn't Halloween anymore, said one parent, who indicated that the other adults expressed concern over the man's unsettling attire. Undeterred by the misgivings of the other parents, the faux Pennywise proceeded to wander over to the school and peer into the window of a classroom. In America, you'd get shot. You would get shot for that. Where's my story? There it is. As one might imagine, chaos subsequently ensued, with teachers frantically closing the blinds in order to hide the creepy clown outside the building. Once order was restored, the troublemaker was issued a stern reprimand by staff who told him that the incident was extremely inappropriate. While the school indicated that they are offering support services to any of the youngsters aged around 5 to 7 who were troubled by the creepy clown, it is uncertain that what became of the dad who donned the costume. That said, one imagines that he may not receive very kind greeting next time he shows up to pick up his kid. I'm okay with the idea until he walks up to the school and starts peeking in the window. That is just a incredibly dumb move. I have threatened. I have told both of my kids. My oldest is 18 and my youngest is 11. I have told both of them that they don't understand who they have for a father. I will 100% come to your school dressed. I don't know if you haven't seen the Hell's Dungeon TikToks. Very, very, very just. In America, you'd have been shot. That's simple. If you walked up to the windows of a school and start peeking in, I don't care if you're dressed as a clown or not. At this point in America, you would be shot. And at worst, at least you're going to jail. But I have told both of my kids, if you guys want them to I've told them both, if they want to screw around in school, I will gladly come up there in costume to pick them up. I will meet them at the bus stop. I have threatened to dress as Coney the Clown to go to the bus stop to pick my kid up if he wants to screw around. Again, if you haven't seen Hell's Dungeons TikTok videos, last year in the old channel, I dressed up for the Valentine's haunt as Cupid. Now, when I say I dressed up as Cupid, I don't know how many people. Just let me know where you're sharing them. I'll put them up. I believe she's still talking about the Valentines from last year. But where was I? Yeah, but on the TikToks, I dressed up as Cupid. And when I say Cupid, I didn't do Angel Cupid. I don't know how many people remember Benny Hill and the skit he did dressed as is as Cupid, or basically, yeah, as when Benny Hill went and dressed as Cupid. He wears this big pink leotard with his curly hair, and he's up in the clouds, and Benny Hill's hilarious. But I bought a pink leotard last year, a red tutu, and that wig. It is a blonde, curly-haired wig, and for those who have seen me outside of costume on here or anything, my hair is black as night. My beard hair is actually white, but we did paint it. We did dye it black for the costume. I told both of them flat out, if you really want to screw around, I will come to your school as Cupid. I have no shame. I am incredibly fat. I don't say incredibly fat. I have a really big gut that hangs over the front of my pants, and that it's something. I call it a hereditary gut because my grandfather had the same thing. I will 100% put the pink leotard on and the wig. I will go to the dungeon and let somebody make me up, and I will 100% come to your school and embarrass you. I have no issue. I have no qualms. I will come to the bus stop and pick you up dressed as Cupid. And if you have any other issues, I know about 80 other people at a haunted house that will gladly dress up and come up to the school and embarrass the shit out of you as well. Benny Hill is the best. I used to love Benny Hill way more than Monty Python growing up. But yes, I would 100% do it. Like I said, the only thing I can say about this guy, looking into the school, that's where he kind of screwed up, because if you're sitting here studying math, or you're studying science, or whatever they're studying, and you turn around and look around and there's a fucking clown looking into the, not even just Pennywise, just a fucking clown looking into the school. People are going to freak out. People don't like clowns. Let's see. Moving on. Let's see what else we've got. We got a couple of more here. Let's see. Let me check this one out real quick, because okay. So this is more of a paranormal one, you could say, or conspiracy theory. It depends on how many people believe in time travel. So a security camera captures time traveler in Florida backyard. A Florida homeowner believes that a security camera watching over his Airbnb rental property captured footage of a mysterious individual using his backyard shed to travel through time. The rather fantastic tale reportedly came to light on Monday. This is from May 3rd of 2024. When Alex Shaw took to TikTok to recount the eerie occurrence, okay, that alone tells me I don't know how much I believe him. Oh, come to the dungeon. There's plenty of people who love clowns. There really is, but there's a lot more that hate them. Yeah, the fact that he went to TikTok to recount the eerie occurrence, yeah, that alone, that's a major red flag for me. But he explained that the weirdness began when the security system alerted him to an intruder on the property, which is 5 hours from where he lives. When Shaw checked the live feed, he saw a man wandering through his backyard and initially suspected that the stranger planned to rob my house. However, the situation quickly took a strange turn that ultimately left the homeowner scratching his head. Shortly after venturing into the backyard, the peculiar interloper enters a shed on the property and seemingly never emerges. When Shaw attempts to speak to the man through the security system, he receives no answer, which leads him to call the police. Cops subsequently arrive on the scene to investigate the situation, but find that there is no one in the shed, leaving Shaw to wonder what became of the stranger. The incident became all the more bewildering the following day when the security system picked up yet another mysterious man emerging from the backyard shed. In this instance, seen below, the individual appears to be an aged version of the original trespasser from Shaw's first video, leading him to surmise that the security camera had caught a time traveler in action. Why? What? Why is that where your mind goes? Okay. The homeowner's tale in his two videos have since gone viral, with many viewers agreeing with his assessment. That said, not everyone is convinced that the tale is on the level, as more skeptical observers suggest that their story is simply a well-crafted hoax on Shaw's part. Yeah, I 100% believe that. Let's see, I'm looking at the video now to make sure I can play it. I'm trying to see what happens. He just goes in the shed. He didn't even shut the door. Yeah, I'm not gonna show that video. It's kind of stupid. It's a hoax, guys. It's a hoax. The dude who went into the shed didn't even shut the door. He's in a white t-shirt and regular shorts. Has a book bag on him. Walks into the shed again. I can't see the second video, but this just seems like a hoax. Excuse me. Let's see, a couple more. There's a Ouija board story out here, but I'm not necessarily the biggest believer in Ouija boards. Dispute over Vienna sausages leads to stabbing at a Georgia nursing home back in October of this year. So a strange dispute over a missing can of Vienna sausages at a Georgia nursing home led to one resident being stabbed and another behind bars. The wild incident reportedly occurred last month at a facility on Tybee Island. According to police, they were called to the nursing home after two residents clashed over a can of Vienna sausages that had mysteriously vanished. The owner of the snack was apparently certain that they had been stolen by a specific individual whom he promptly accused of suspected theft. As voices were raised and tempers flared, police say one of the men brandished a knife and allegedly stabbed the other in the chest. Cops arriving at the bloody scene quickly transported the victim to a nearby hospital for treatment. Meanwhile, the weapon-wielding nursing home resident was arrested for aggravated assault and possession of a knife during the commission of a crime. It is uncertain if the person stabbed was the suspected Vienna sausages thief or the unhappy owner of the lost snack, which were weirdly never established as being stolen in the first place. So, guys, if your grandpa's in a nursing home in Georgia, you may want to check on him from October. If you haven't heard from October, you might want to check on him. He could either be in jail or he could be in a hospital, stabbed. Yeah, yeah. Georgia's a little violent, especially get down to Atlanta. It is a little violent down there. But I gotta say, as a Southerner, I think I said the word wrong. It's not Vienna sausages down there. It is called a Wiener sausage. Because, as a Southerner, we don't like saying letters. So let's see. Lovesick monkey goes on whiskey-fueled rampage through Russian village. This is from May of last year. Residents of a village in Russia were forced to take cover when a pet monkey went on a whiskey-fueled rampage, believed to have been brought about by his owner getting married. The bizarre incident reportedly occurred last Friday in the community of Maliki, when In what was undoubtedly a decision that he later regretted, the husband of the animal's owner released the surly simian named Garrick from his cage. Upon finding freedom, the monkey made a beeline for a bottle of whiskey, and after drinking some of the booze, set off to wreak havoc in the village. Rampaging through the streets of Maliki, Garrick proceeds to bite 5 different individuals who were unfortunate enough to encounter the drunk monkey. During his troubled travels, I have never thought I'd ever say the word drunk and monkey next to each other. Along the way, the pugnacious primate picked up a variety of snacks to keep his ferocious energy up. However, this proved to be Garrick's undoing as a group of villagers cleverly distracted the creature with some sugar cookies and subsequently captured him. The misadventure led to the monkey being sent to a nearby zoo since his owner was deemed incapable of caring for the creature. This development is likely to be particularly heartbreaking for Garrick, as in what may be the weirdest aspect of an already strange story, the animal's rampage is actually believed to have been born out of jealousy. Specifically, his owner said, the creature has been acting increasingly aggressive ever since she got married a few years ago. As such, it had been suggested that Friday's incident was something of a misguided "it's him or me" ultimatum from the monkey that, for the lovesick simian, backfired spectacularly, as he will now probably never see his owner again. That is a little sad, but yeah, a drunk monkey is probably freaking hilarious, in all honesty. I just got done listening to a podcast, last podcast on the left. They did a show on basically Tillamook and the whales of SeaWorld. And I never realized before until listening to this podcast, in all honesty, I never really studied orcas or anything, that they're very human-like. They have emotions. They get upset like when their children are taken from them. When somebody dies, when they kill one of their trainers, they actually do mourn. There's been there was a story, I think, last year or a couple of years ago, where this one killer whale carried its dead calf on its dead calf on its head for almost 2 weeks or something like that, and just wouldn't let go because it didn't think it was dead. Yeah. Friday, I think you just combined the monkey story with the retirement home story. Oh, Lord. That is pretty funny, though. So we're going to go ahead and start doing I have 2 stories here, or 2 articles here. The Unexplained Mysteries, a website, unexplained-mysteries.com. We'll start with this one. The top 10 modern mystery stories of 2024. This was put out on December 29th. They're taking a look back at their most popular general mystery stories from the last 12 months. From a psychic who found a murder victim to an alleged door in the Antarctic ice. Here are the top 10 most viewed modern mysteries of 2024. Coming in at number 10 on their website. Again, I've not read any of these stories, so I can't. I'll comment here in a minute once I read them to you guys. So I'm learning about this stuff live at the same time you guys are. So our first story goes back from November 6th of 2024. Mystery object thought to be Amelia Earhart's plane has been identified. The object had been picked up on a sonar and was thought to be the wreckage of the famed Hold on, no, we got to go back to this for a second after I just got a message. Are you serious, Jen? Or Friday? I'm sorry. Oh, hold up. Now, Friday, I don't want to air your personal stories. And I apologize if I am, but this is true. And apparently, and please, Jen, Friday, message me if I'm not allowed, if you want me to stop saying this. Your grandpa's monkey beat your grandmother sober because she wanted to be the only one for your grandpa. Wow. I thought my family was crazy. That is pretty wild. That is pretty wild. I can honestly say I have never had a monkey and anybody in my family get beat up by a monkey. But it's definitely like I've said, animals kind of, they can develop feelings. They can develop, love for other, for humans and that. So why, it's not really all that crazy. It really isn't. Like they said when Tillamook, that's the SeaWorld, the last trainer that he killed when he pulled the girl down by her ponytail. They said that he sat in the tank right beside, when they pulled her body out of the water, out of the tank, that he sat right there beside her dead body until they, moved it off premises and wouldn't leave her side and was crying. They said that the killer whale was crying. So yeah, it's not a crazy idea. I mean, it's I'm not gonna lie, it's probably fucking hilarious. And I don't mean to laugh at that, but to watch a monkey beating somebody up, that wow. But let's get back to this story. So the object had been picked up on sonar and was thought to be the wreckage of the famed aviators, basically Amelia Earhart's plane. More than 82 years after Amelia Earhart disappeared over the Pacific Ocean during an attempt to circumnavigate the globe in her Lockheed Model 10 Electra, the question of what happened to her continues to remain one of the biggest unanswered mysteries of the modern age. Back in January of this year, however, a potentially game-changing new discovery in the Pacific Ocean, approximately 100 miles from Howland Island, Earhart's destination just prior to disappearing, was thought to have had the potential to solve the mystery once and for all. At the time, South Carolina-based underwater mapping team Deep Sea Vision had reported capturing a clear sonar image of what appeared to be an aircraft on the seafloor around 16,000 feet beneath the surface. The search, which was funded by pilot and former U.S. Air Force intelligence officer Tony Romeo, involved scanning over 5,200 square miles of the ocean floor over several months. Fast forward to the present, and now Romeo has confirmed in a statement that the new sonar images of the mysterious object have revealed that it is in fact nothing more than a plane-shaped rock formation. This outcome isn't what we hoped for, he said. The global response to our initial discovery has been truly inspiring, a testament to Amelia and the pull of her incredible story. Despite the disappointing result, however, the firm is resolute in its determination to continue the search and put the mystery of what happened to Amelia Earhart to bed once and for all. So that is the number 10 story on this website. Moving on to number 9. Mystery as couple found washed up on graveyard of the Atlantic. Let's see. This came out in July of 2024. A couple who had been attempting to sail across the Atlantic have been found dead in a washed up lifeboat. Brett Clibbery and Sarah Justine Packwood had set sail from Nova Scotia on June 11th aboard their sailing boat Theros in an attempt to complete an eco-friendly voyage across the Atlantic. The boat itself used no fossil fuels and instead relied on wind and solar power. Sadly, things that seemingly hadn't gone according to plan, as according to reports, their bodies were found washed up in a lifeboat along the shoreline of Sable Island, a remote piece of land known as the Graveyard of the Atlantic, which is situated 180 miles off the shore of Nova Scotia. As things stand, exactly what happened to them remains something of a mystery, as there have been no sign of their main vessel, and no distress calls had been picked up. Whatever happened, it must have been catastrophic enough to see them evacuate their vessel without enough time to call for help over the radio. Their last post on social media, which was posted on June 11th, read, "Captain Brett and First Mate Sarah set sail on the second leg of the Green Odyssey on board Theros, Gibbsy 40-foot, 2-foot sailboat, powered by the wind and sun, heading to the Azores. When they failed to provide any more updates, family and friends quickly became concerned. The couple were officially reported missing a full week later on June 18th. One theory currently being considered is that the couple's vessel had been struck by a ship, though so far no conclusive evidence of this has been found. The incident remains under investigation, and there is no further update at this time. A Nova Scotia Royal Canadian Mounted Police spokesperson told Mail Online. So, yeah, you basically don't get in a sailboat and try to sail around the world. That just seems like a terrible idea. Number 8, mystery man dies on beach after performing black magic ritual. From August of 2024, a 65-year-old man has been found dead on a beach in Spain after conducting some sort of strange ritual. The peculiar and disturbing case saw the body of a man being found behind some rocks on La Fosca Beach to the north of the Costa Brava resort of Palamos near Girona, Spain this week. In a bizarre twist, he was found surrounded by a circle of dead hens that he had seemingly decapitated as part of some form of black magic ritual. His wife, with whom he had rowed prior to the incident, had raised the alarm after she found him unconscious on the ground at 5 a.m. in the morning. Police investigating the case believe the man may have died from a reaction to certain substances he had taken prior to conducting the ritual. They are not, however, currently treating his death as a crime. His family will also not be held accountable for the animals he slaughtered. The true meaning and purpose of the ritual he was conducting, however, remains unclear. So that's exactly what I was going to say. He may have drank the chicken's blood, which it can't be good considering you'll get salmonella poisoning from just eating raw chicken. So drinking their blood can't be good. So that's probably what he did. He probably drank some of the blood or something else that either went bad or was actually poison. We don't know if he had a snake with him. Sometimes I think they use snakes in those rituals. A poisonous snake could have bit him. Anything really could have happened. All right. Number 7. Mystery surrounds disappearance of bodies on Mount Everest. This is from June of 2024. I have heard this story. Officially the highest mountain above sea level, needs no introduction. These days, thousands of people flock to the Himalayas every year for a chance to reach the summit. But 100 years ago, reaching the top of Mount Everest was a feat that had never been accomplished, and something attempted only by the most elite and foolhardy of the world's climbers. George Mallory and Andrew Irvine were two such climbers. In 1924, the pair had set off in an attempt to reach the top, but never returned. To this day, it is unclear whether they actually did reach the summit, a feat that would have meant that they, not Edmund Hillary, who was credited with summiting in 1953, actually made it there first. Now, another mystery has also presented itself. What happened to their bodies? Mallory's remains were discovered on the mountain in 1999, and there was a reasonable belief that Irvine's had also been found in the same area, but then several years later, successive climbers making their way to the summit realized that neither of the bodies seemed to be there anymore. Irvine's body is almost certainly no longer up there, said climber Jamie McGinnis. We gave it a good search with drones, and we spotted several other bodies, so we know we weren't missing anything of the right size. Other climbers also agree with this assessment. We have GPS coordinates for where the body was, said mountain guide Mark Sinat. I feel if Mallory's body was still there, we would have seen it. It doesn't make any sense. Why remove the body? So what could have happened to the bodies of the two men? Did the local authorities recover the remains and take them away, or could there be another explanation? You would know if the authorities did it. For those who don't know, I'm pretty sure everybody knows this, but when you climb Everest, everybody knows, the climbers especially and the guides know the location of all the bodies. They know this because they use them as navigational beacons. They know, hey, they like, was it Green Boots? I think is the most famous one. That if you walk by Green Boots, you're this far up on the mountain, and you're going the right way. There are bodies all over that mountain of people who died climbing the mountain, climbing Everest, and like I just said, they're used for navigation. They know the bodies, they have their nicknames and everything like that written down. The Sherpas or the guides, the people that guide people up the mountain, so they don't get lost. No, that's how a lot of people, like I said, that's how they navigate their way. That's how they know how far from the summit they are, where they are, making sure that they know they're going the right way. So yeah, that is kind of weird. I mean, could be animals. Animals could have found the bodies and eat them. I don't know. They've been there for 100 years. I don't know how good the body or how good the meat would be. But it's kept in a freezer. So yeah, there's an explanation. I don't think the authorities went up and grabbed him, like is suggested in the story, because they would tell you. They would have told you. Moving on to story number 6. The young boy survives unscathed after fall from 16th floor window. So this is from August 12th of 2024. The 4-year-old who hails from France, not only survived the fall, but somehow avoided any serious injuries. The idea that anyone could survive unscathed after falling 43 meters from a high-rise window might sound ridiculous. Yet this is exactly what happened in Aubervilliers. I'm not French. I'm sorry, guys. France. Recently, when a young boy plummeted from the 16th floor window of an apartment block on May 26th. According to reports, the boy, who suffers from autism, seemingly panicked after accidentally locking himself inside his own room. When his father was finally able to break down the door, he was greeted with the terrifying sight of an empty room and a window that was wide open. Looking down from the balcony, he could see his son lying on the ground far below. Miraculously, however, by the time he got down to the bottom floor, he found the boy not only very much alive, but seemingly none the worse for wear despite such a huge fall. His parents quickly took him to a local hospital where he was kept in for observation, but apart from a small scratch on his leg and some other minor injuries, he seemed to totally be fine. Within days, he was back to school as though nothing happened. He has resumed a normal life. Everything is fine, said his mother. I was not a believer, but now I am. I mean, that's a miracle. Do we think he hit he landed or hit every single balcony on the way down? Or something like that. I mean, that's the only way he could really survive that, right? That's weird. Moving on to number 5, self-professed time traveler offers predictions of the future. So a popular social media user has been making various predictions about what will come to pass in the near future. We've heard from a few self-professed time travelers over the years on a trend which gained prominence in the early 2000s when a man named John Teeter started to frequent online message boards claiming to be a soldier from the year 2036 who had gone back in time to warn humanity. While Titor, I think it was Titor. I've heard of this guy before. Was later exposed as a hoax. There have been numerous copycats in the years since, usually with the alleged time traveler making similar claims about future calamities. One of the latest examples is the time traveler 2582, a user on TikTok whose future predictions have seen him rack up over 132,000 followers. The otherwise anonymous individual maintains that they are from 2582. According to their posts, on September 23rd of this year, a large boat will go missing in the Bermuda Triangle for a period of 6 months. When it finally reappears, the people on board will allegedly report that, for them, only a single day had passed. Okay, so this was August 26th. I have not heard any stories of a boat going missing, but it was supposed to happen on September 23rd. So I think we still have 2 or 3 more months left until they're supposed to come back. Then from December 12th, 2025, pieces of an antimatter meteorite that falls through the Earth's atmosphere will be sold for the price of $64.5 trillion per gram. Things will reach a head on January 1st, 2026, when, according to time travelers' posts, the Great Reset happens, making a huge change for humanity. Perhaps weirdest of all is a prediction for August 27th, 2024. A mysterious gate is discovered in a cave. The post reads, "It is closed, but it will be opened. It will lead into an alternative universe with new form of life discovered. Some of it will be brought back to Earth." That didn't happen. So again, it's really going to depend on if you believe in that kind of stuff or not. Like I've said before, Titor was proven wrong. He was proven to be a hoax. I do remember that story, some of the stuff that he said, and yeah, it's just not true. So, I mean, take it with what you will. Yeah, I do believe it's science fiction. I don't know if we'll ever. I don't think time traveling is possible. I just really don't. I don't see how it would. I do believe in other universes. I do believe in timelines and things like that. But I can't see it ever happening. At least in this lifetime. So moving on to our next story. This is from March 17th of last year. Man vanished without a trace while seeking vibrating cave near Area 51. The disappearance of Kenny Beach still remains a topic of debate and intrigue almost 10 years on. So this is from 10 years ago, guys. One of the most mysterious and widely debated disappearances over the recent years is the case of YouTuber Kenny Beach, who vanished without a trace after venturing into the Mojave Desert to find a vibrating M-shaped cave near the secretive Area 51 facility. Is certainly an unusual one. Veach has been a keen solo hiker and explorer who was known to head off into the wilderness, sometimes for days at a time, carrying little in the way of supplies or equipment. he enjoyed heading off the beaten track, and these YouTube videos would follow him on his adventures. Things took a rather peculiar twist in June of 2014, however, when he took to the comments to state that he had discovered a strange M-shaped cave in the desert near the Nellis Air Force Base, which is situated to the south of Area 51. Upon approaching the cave, he recalled experiencing a strange vibrating sensation. The closer I got to the cave entrance, the worse the vibrating became, he wrote. Suddenly, I became very scared and hightailed it out of there. That was one of the strangest things that have ever happened to me. I solo hike across mountaintops, and most people wouldn't dare go. I have been in more caves than I can count. I played with rattlesnakes for fun. You're a fucking idiot. But this one particular cave was beyond anything I've ever encountered. In the months that followed, Beach ventured out again in an attempt to relocate the cave and prove to his viewers that it really existed. But despite retracing his steps, he was unable to find it. It was when he embarked on another hike in the further attempt to find the cave on November 10th, 2014, however, that he disappeared without a trace and was never seen again. Search and rescue teams later found his cell phone. Sorry about that. Cell phone inside an abandoned mine, and his car was parked several miles away, but there was no other sign of Veach himself or what had happened to him. His disappearance went on to generate a number of conspiracy theories, with some speculating that he had found the cave and that something had happened to him inside, while others suggested that he had been caught and arrested by the military for venturing where he didn't belong. That's very likely. There is also a theory that a combination of personal circumstances has compelled him to venture out that day with the intention of committing suicide, though his body has never been found. To this day, exactly what happened to Kenny Beach remains a total mystery. Yeah, he's not very smart. You don't play with a rattlesnake, guys. But it's likely that he kind of got arrested, or there are a lot of dangerous animals in the desert. As it says, he takes very little supplies. Well, hello, chaos. He takes very little supplies with him, as it says in the article. Could he have ran out of water? I think the likelihood is that he either got arrested, and the military doesn't have the same, what is the word I'm looking for? Due process as the rest of the country has. So it could very well be he got arrested, found out something he wasn't supposed to find out, or the most likely thing happened, maybe encountered a mountain lion, maybe encountered something else deadly out there that eats humans, or eats meat. I'm not going to say eats humans, because most animals that are seen as, man-eating and that, aren't necessarily going to go out looking for human for food. We do not taste good. But eventually they'll probably find his body somewhere. I mean, that's yeah. That's the likelihood of what'll happen. Moving on to our next story. We have basically, this is going to be story number 3. So we're in the top 3 stories. Google Maps image allegedly shows a door in the Antarctic ice. All right, give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to upload this real quick. And let me get this uploaded. This is the picture that they're talking about. The controversial image was recently picked up by news outlets after being shared on social media. Antarctica has been the focus of a number of conspiracy theories over the years, with claims of secret extraterrestrial bases, ancient pyramids, and other anomalies being nothing unusual. Some argue that this freezing continent is the ideal place for alien visitors to hide their presence, while proponents of alternative history believe that the Antarctica could even be the site of Atlantis itself. Suffice to say, however, that there is no evidence to support either of these theories. Now, another potential anomaly has been found in the Antarctic ice, that this time courtesy of Google Maps sleuths, who spent hours analyzing images of the region to look for anything unusual. Get a life. God, I wouldn't. There's no way my. I'm talking about the animals. You can view the precise location on Google Maps. The coordinates are 69 degrees, 69 degrees 0050 south. I can't. I'm not very good with coordinates. On close inspection, it certainly looks like something is there, but it's possible that what we are looking at is a solid block of ice from which the snow is partially cleared. Google Maps kind of isn't necessarily very clear, especially the closer you get. That is probably nothing, in all honesty. It's probably just like a smudge, like not a smudge, but a glitch in the camera or something like that. There have been lots and lots of reported doors in mountains. Like there's people out there who have said that they see that they live close to a mountain and they can see a door in it and that things come flying out of it and stuff like that. There's a lot of places or a lot of people that say that kind of stuff. And they see this stuff. So it could very well be something. But likely nothing, in all honesty. Let's go on to our second, number 2 story of the week, or of 2024 on this website. A psychic looking for a man's missing daughter finds human remains. The psychic discovered the skeletal remains of a person behind a bowling alley, but there was a twist in the in store. There is a great deal of controversy surrounding the idea that psychics can be used to locate missing people, with one side of the fence arguing that they may have a genuine role to play in investigations, and the other insisting that psychic abilities don't actually exist. Sometimes, though, psychics actually do find the unfindable, and as was the case recently when a psychic who had been tasked with locating a man's missing daughter found actual human remains behind a bowling alley roughly 70 miles from Portland, Maine. 17-year-old Kim Moreau disappeared without a trace all the way back in 1986, and her father, Richard Dick Moreau, had hoped that a psychic might be able to determine her whereabouts. During the session, however, the psychic found something that neither of them had expected. The psychic had a very strong feeling that there was something up there, Moreau told WMUR, but she wasn't sure what it was. Then in about 10 minutes, she turned around, she came down and said, "Dick, you've got to get up here now." Incredibly, she had found human bones just a block or so away from the family's home. In an excruciating twist, however, when the police came to retrieve the bones, it was determined that they belonged to a male, meaning that this wasn't Moreau's long-lost daughter. "It's a disappointment in some ways," he said, "but we've got to remember and look at it from our point of view. We're one of the families that has a missing loved one. We will have a family that's going to get closure now. So it isn't us, but one of these times it's got to be." I'm a little skeptical when it comes to psychics. I do believe in psychics. I do believe in psychics' abilities. I have a problem with the ones that try to monetize their psychic abilities. That is when I see an issue. So I know you can't really take a psychic's word in court, but I think they're very valuable. You know, I think they're very valuable, at least ones that are proven. So take that what you will. But finally, their number one mystery story of the year. Mystery of plane that vanished in 1971 has been solved after 53 years. The private jet and its passengers had vanished without a trace, leading to decades of fruitless searches. The aircraft, which took off from Burlington, Vermont in the winter of 1971 on a routine flight to Providence, Rhode Island, inexplicably disappeared a short time later. Aboard the plane were 5 people: George Nikita, Donald Myers, Frank Wilder, Richard Kirby Windsor, and Robert Ransom Williams III, who were never seen or heard from again. Efforts to locate the missing aircraft continued for some time, with 17 searches in total, failing to find any trace of the plane or its missing crew and passengers. It seemed as though the mystery of what happened would never be solved, but then last month an underwater team using remote-operated underwater vehicles and sonar equipment discovered what appeared to be the remains of a private jet on the bottom of Lake Champlain. We have talked about Lake Champlain before when we did the cryptids of Vermont. There's supposedly a monster that lives in there. The fact that the wreckage seems to match the custom liveries of the missing plane, coupled with the fact that it is located near to where it disappeared, basically confirms that this is in fact the very aircraft that went missing all those years ago. It also means that the families of those who died in the crash finally know what happened. To have this found now, it's peaceful feeling. At the same time, it's a very sad feeling. The niece of pilot George and Nikita told the Associated Press. We know what happened. We've seen a couple of photos. We're struggling, I think, with that now. Exactly what caused the plane to go down, however, continues to remain unclear. So, yeah, that's definitely a positive. You know, after 53 years, they found the plane, they found the people, inside, of course. And that's just an amazing thing. So hopefully these families can get closure. But guys, I think that's going to do it today. We've been going for 2 hours now. I have one more list that I think we'll end up reading next week because, as I said at the beginning of the show, Shivers is coming back next week. We are going to travel to the Bluegrass State and visit the cryptids of Kentucky. That was next on our wheel of states. So Kentucky, here we come. We're going to be studying some of your cryptids down there, and hopefully being a little more understanding to the cryptids and cryptozoology. Next week, for the start, we will do the Unexplained Mysteries top 10 cryptozoology stories of 2024. We'll make sure to do that one next week. We'll do some more weird and stupid news. And I love doing Shivers. It is kind of fun. But yes, we're going to do Shivers next week. Again, I apologize for anybody who tuned in today for a Shriek show. I was under the weather this morning. Didn't wake up in time to get it started. It is actually a lot longer than most of the movies that we do here. By almost like half an hour. So there was no way I was going to be able to do the movie and then prepare a show for you guys. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the news today, the paranormal news, the horror movie news. Again, there is no haunt industry news out there anymore, but that's right. Tune in next week for Shivers. So where to find me? If you're interested in connecting with me on social media, you can find me everywhere under Bloody Binge Movie Podcast. That is on Twitter or X. That is on Facebook. That is on what do you call it? YouTube. The YouTube channel is at the Bloody Binge Movie Podcast. So you can go back and check out the past episodes we've done with movies and with the paranormal, with Shivers and that. You can go back and check out our old episodes of Shivers. You can also go to the Owlite Network and their YouTube page, and you can find the older episodes of the Bloody Binge Movie Podcast and Shivers there as well. You can email me if you have any movie suggestions or suggestions for Shivers. You can email me at bloodybinge@gmail.com. You can also, hopefully I can get this up and running again, but you can also check me out on Twitch every once in a while at Sewer Dweller 78 on Twitch. And of course, if you are interested in only listening to if you're interested in the audio only versions of the show, anywhere that it is carried, anywhere that Spreaker is carried. So on Spotify, we are on iHeartRadio Podcast. We are on Amazon Podcast. We are pretty much, again, everywhere that Spreaker carries a podcast. You should be able to find us. I got to catch up some uploading to them shortly. So hopefully now that the holidays are over, I can get some more of that work done. But hope you guys enjoyed this show. And again, as always, be good to yourselves and keep watching horror movies. We'll see you next week, guys.